So you're going through prospects, you're looking at wide receivers that you want the Chiefs to draft. You stumble upon Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. You see he's got a good 4.42 40-yard dash, a 1.53 10-yard split, all very good numbers. You know, a 35-inch vertical for a 5'9 receiver is pretty good, and then a 10.7 broad jump. You're looking at all these things and you're wondering, where are the Chiefs going to have to go to get this draft pick? Well, in the latest mock draft for Jordan Reed on ESPN, he has the New York Giants selecting Zay Flowers with the 25th pick in the NFL draft. So, by all accounts, it does appear the Chiefs might have to trade up to go get the guy that they want. How does that sound to you?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I'm not too far behind, but I think some of these moves end up paying off in the long run. So let's get into it. Let's break down the wide receiver that is known as Zay Flowers. Things that I love about this guy, he's extremely quick in and out of his breaks, especially when he's getting yards after the catch. So one thing that we're going to see right out the bat is that he's extremely good at manipulating cornerbacks, but the quarterback play, the offensive line play at Boston College was so awful. You oftentimes see him getting overthrown, ball being adjusted, put on the wrong spot, where he is having to make ridiculous adjustments to get to the football, or just not getting the football at times. So we get to see again him. He's doing a great job of selling that inside route, breaks off the corner at the top of the route. Inaccurate football. Oh my gosh. What the hell is going on here? So you see him again here over on the right-hand side this time. Both of these are in these bunch formations where he's having to not do as much to get open and create separation through his route, but this is more of a schemed route. Specifically, you're watching what he does here. It looks like Boston College trying to scheme him open with this bunch formation here. He's going to release to the inside, go in front of that receiver, and then create a ton of separation here where you see him kind of frustrated with them not getting the football. And why I think that this is kind of schemed up is because he's running in front of this guy. It's man coverage. You have 3 defenders here on 3 wide receivers, and you have everyone else running either a short route or a flat route, trying to create separation for Zay Flowers, who's going to be the only target in the end zone. And then we see the quarterback throw the ball to the tight end in the flat, not to Zay Flowers, who is wide open for a touchdown. So some openly frustrating things for Zay Flowers. Now let's get into the actual breakdown of him, because the receiver that he is, I don't believe he's got true burner speed to be able to take the top off defenses all the time. He does obviously have good speed with that 4.42 at his combine, but on tape, I don't necessarily think he has to be your true deep guy down the field. He does a lot of things with intention and understanding of what he's doing. What we get to see is a little bit of the cone drill after he makes the catch here. So this is man coverage from North Carolina State, or excuse me, this is Louisville. And what Zay is going to do, he's got actually man coverage with this this linebacker here. And with Boston College running this play action pass, he's going to stem his route to the inside initially. He's almost going to establish a little vertically, and then he's going to take it flat right out here. So he's looking to see who he has to come up against, if there's anybody behind him or in front of him that's going to end up covering him, and then he takes that ball, catches it, and immediately gets into a cone drill. We see these guys doing combine drills with the cones coming in and out, and sometimes we wonder, how is this applicable to what they're going to end up doing? Well, Flowers here on the yards after catch is going to take this immediately into a cone drill. See, he's there looking for the ball, catches it, extension stop, dip those hips, get into that sink, and then come out of it, come right in back into it. So I love what I get to see from him from a yards after catch standpoint, because he does offer some of those quick twitch abilities that you want to see from him. There, stop, get those hips out, boom, hips down, boom, hips down, and then come back out. So all of those things are really nice to see from a guy who's going to end up being a yak player in the NFL as well. Here we got another bunch formation with Zay Flowers. Again, you're seeing a lot of ways to get him to where he doesn't have to deal with a ton of press, because at the end of the day, he's not going to deal with press extremely well. The whip route he's going to run here is just boom. It's awesome. He gets into it and explodes out of it for some yards after the catch as well. I'm a big fan of what he does from a hip down perspective. He does have some issues with body control, but his ankle flexion, his hip sync, and then the ability to explode out of those breaks and those dips are what make him an explosive and really reliable playmaker going into the NFL. So again, we get to see that hip sync, and then he, boom, catches that ball a little bit low away from his body. Inconsistency with the hand placement, with the hand catching ability for Zay Flowers. He does have some instances of body catching. You see that most of the time with with defenders in close proximity to him. So just kind of pay attention to that. One of the areas that he's going to struggle with, here he is in the slot, the top of your screen, is going to be some contact. So he's going to run this, essentially it's going to be a post, but he's going to give it a little bit of corner feel at the top of the route right there. He gives it a little bit of corner feel, and that corner ends up coming in, getting him a little bit of physicality at the top of the route. It's a little bit of illegal contact, but this is where I have to do a little bit of projection because, again, he deals with a lot of off coverage, a ton of space to work with, and if you're more physical within the route with him, I don't think the ability to separate down the field or initiate some of those push-offs that we see a lot of wide receivers do can really come into play for him, because contact through the route at the top of his route does throw him off of his intention and can really be a problem for him. So that's something that I'm just kind of playing around with. I've got quite a bit of tape on Zay Flowers now, so I have seen him struggle with physicality throughout his route when it's been presented. Once again, we see a bunch formation for Boston College for Zay Flowers. Just a little bit of inside intention with the head work there. Gets out on the route, another inaccurate football. But what we're looking at here is the intention. He's one of the most, I won't say he's like the most intentional route runner, because that typically seems to be a little bit slower for me. But what I love about his manipulation tactics is that he is so good at using intention with his head, with his shoulders, with the way that he's running his routes. He's just running a dig right here. He's going to end up breaking this back to the outside. But all of it comes down to selling everything to the inside. You have everything you're looking for with that inside head action. He rounds the route just a little bit at the top when he's coming out of it. That's something that also stems into the rest of his routes at times. Outward breaks, he does tend to round. Right here you see he just kind of takes him a little while to get out. He doesn't really truly break into it all the time at the top of his digs or his posts or some of his slants and things like that. But you see that he's frustrated with the not getting the football thrown over at him. Instead, he gets, the quarterback's being moved out of the pocket regardless. I tell you, if you can get through both the offensive line play and the quarterback play at Boston College, Zay Flowers is really, really fun to watch. It's just hard to get there because the offensive line, the quarterback are just so inept at times, it seems. And then we get a little bit of work against press. All right, at the top of your screen, we get to see Zay Flowers with real true man coverage on the top, on the very outside of the formation. Now, Boston College is only running a screen, but you still are going to see what I'm talking about. If you have a corner that can use that sideline, that isn't afraid of him being stacked vertically and Zay running completely by him, you can get hands on him and then really force him to the sideline. This is where I think he will struggle, and why I see people saying that he's going to be able to play on the outside and the inside. Well, yes, he could play as a Z or a slot. I do not believe he can play as an X. Right here, we see him on the line of scrimmage. I don't think you're going to see him playing a ton on the line of scrimmage because defenses will just come up, they will press him, they will physically move him to the outside. Right here, we see he does want to get that outside stack release, but he's unable to be forced to the sideline. Like I said, it's a screenplay, so he's not actually running a full route, but he is trying to sell that he's running a route, and getting upfield and then blocking is one way he's going to be able to do that. So I'm a little more cautious about his ability to play, all the time on the outside, but for 5'9", 182, I don't care. He's not going to be asked to do that a whole ton. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not really asking for that. So when we have another out wide position here for Zay Flowers, and this is where most of his out wide positions came from. He is on the line of scrimmage, but he has a ton of space to work with. The man here is off, a good nearly 10 yards, Zay Flowers, and there's no help anywhere. You got these safeties brought up. You have safeties brought up, and there's no real true deep help. So we get to see Zay in his element where he's going to manipulate, and then bye-bye. The acceleration isn't like going to blow you away, from the start. But what I loved about this is that he has that hip sync and that real long step that makes it seem like he's going to run this curl back to the quarterback. He does run a good curl, so he can sell this right there, that decel, hip sync, head down, making that cornerback come in, and then bye-bye, reacceleration. The acceleration into the deceleration and back into the acceleration is what I'm really trying to point out here, because you have an athlete really gifted in what he does to sell routes and then be able to have the athletic and, you know, hip sync and with those ankle flexion to be able to come right back out of it and hit downfield. That's an extremely valuable thing to have. He is a senior, so he has a lot of experience playing at Boston College and playing with awful quarterback plays. We see here, this should have been a walk-in touchdown for Zay Flowers, but he's unable to get an accurate throw down the field from his quarterback, and this great route, this great sell job, this stop and go route goes to waste because of awful ball placement downfield. So you can really do a lot of unique things with Zay Flowers using him like this. You can use him as a guy you get scheme touches to. You can even use him in the backfield a little bit. You can move him around. He's an extremely versatile chess piece on the offense. And then when you have all of that at your disposal and you're going to continue to find ways to get free releases for him, as we know Andy Reid is extremely good at finding ways to create free releases for his players, we get the double moves. But really what it comes down to, he's probably the best double move receiver in this draft class. I think he is. He's so good at selling intention right here, playing. He just plays with corners out there. He plays with them, and then we get the yards after the catch ability. So this is a complete receiver from a standpoint that he can sell routes. He can do everything you want from a ball tracking perspective. You know, he does have some problems with drops and body catching down the field a little bit. So he does bring some upside and some rawness to him from that perspective. But what you can't really teach is feel for the wide receiver position. So he's going to sit here and play in this corner's blind spot with that outward breaking movement and then right back to the inside and up the field. That's something you just can't teach. He has this in spades. That's throughout his route tree. He can sell everything. Now, level of competition aside, because this is Wake Forest they're playing against, for example. They don't play against the best corners, but at the end of the day, what does it matter? When you can sell a route, you can sell it at any level. And that's what this comes down to, is translatable ability from running the route, selling the route, head intention, shoulder intention, hip sync, ankle flexion. All of those come into being able to sell routes at an extremely high level. And when you do have that ability to quickly break in and out of routes and being able to make yards after catch, you're going to make people think twice about what you're doing. And that's a beautiful thing when Andy Reid is your head coach. So the Chiefs might have to trade up to get this guy. But I think at the end of the day, when you're looking at the wide receivers in this draft class, outside of the top 4 or 5 guys, maybe even top 3 or 4, it's a pretty big drop off from guys that can excel at the next level. So they might think they have to get one of their guys and then get a developmental guy later. So I think Zay Flowers, while he's not the big bodied presence that I'm always looking for and salivating over, he offers so much from a route running, a tactician perspective, a yak receiver, a guy you can really line up everywhere. So I'm a big fan of what he brings. Again, there's still going to be some things he has to learn, and that's perfectly okay in his first season in the NFL. He can do a lot of that with Kadarius Toney. They do resemble each other a little bit from what they do on all those athletic tests. Kadarius is a bit faster, a bit more of a real true guy who can go get the football. So I'm a fan of what he does, and they really would bring a nice dynamic to this team. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We get to see a little bit of a shiftiness, but next time we are going to do a defensive film breakdown for somebody for the Chiefs to draft. So if you guys have somebody in mind, make sure to hit me up on Twitter at InHarmsWay19. Don't forget about the live Q&As on Monday nights, and we are going to have constant packed draft content for you guys here and over at the NFL33.com. Again, I hope you all enjoyed this. We are going to let Zay Flowers take us out with a little bit of yards after catch ability. You guys get to see him up close and personal with this. So you guys have yourselves a fantastic day, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.